important contributions of Vedanta and Indian culture to the world, which is a brilliant analysis of the human mind into three categories, and these three categories are tamas, rajas and sattva. Nowhere else in the world is there an analysis as brilliant as this, as specific as this, and as helpful as this. Tamas is the state of indolence, inactivity, sloth, laziness at every level of a personality. And you see this rampant everywhere. Rajas is the state of activity. You've been able to get over that inertia and sloth, and you're active. But that action is driven by greed, by passion, by lust. And this selfish, desire-ridden activity agitates your mind, results in disturbances in the mind. And these disturbances of the mind prevent you from performing efficient, productive actions. Sattva, on the other hand, is where you have overcome this, both the sloth and the selfishness. And you reach a state of serenity of mind, calmness of mind. Born out of this calmness of mind is brilliant, dedicated activity, where you're driven not by a desire to benefit either yourself or anybody else, but as we said, you're driven by a desire to get to that state of realization. So sattva is the highest state. In tamas, there is no movement at all, there's no action, so therefore there's no question of any progress, either material or spiritual. In rajas, there is activity, but there is also that which holds you back. And sattva takes care of the agitations of the mind. These three qualities every one of us has. And to achieve the state of excellence in any field of activity, whether you are a sports person or an artist or a musician or a corporate person or a businessman, whatever be the field of activity you're engaged in, your level of efficiency, productivity, success depends on how intelligently, how well you are able to eliminate tamas from your system, sloth, inertia, indifference from your system, and to what extent you have been able to purify yourself of rajas. You have to rise above these two debilitating qualities before you translate rare success, rare talent into success. If you want to be successful, either consciously or unconsciously, you have to deal with tamas and rajas. Unconsciously, it's not possible because it's a complicated system. How exactly to deal with the tamasic content in you, how to purify the rajas in you is the whole theme of the Gita. So, not even for an instant can anyone be inactive. All are helplessly compelled to act by the gunas born of Prakriti. Verse 6.
Karmendriyani sanyamya yaste manasa smaran indriyarthan vimudhatma mithyacharasa uchyate.
One who controls the organs of action while mentally indulging on the sense objects is deluded. Such a one is called mithyachara, means hypocrite. Here he is speaking about people who, in the name of spirituality, in the belief that they have turned spiritual, are following the easy way out, which is controlling the organs of action. See, you have vasanas which manifest as thought, desire, action. Spirituality in its true sense is dealing with the vasanas, But since that is difficult, since that takes time, since it means putting in a lot of effort to deal with your tamas and rajas, to deal with your selfishness, to deal with your imperfections, the easy way out, people believe, of cheating the system. We are experts at cheating the system. And we believe we can cheat the system by merely doing what? Preventing the physical action. That's relatively easy. But the control of the mind is not there, so the mind automatically keeps going to the object of desire. So here he's saying, such a person who controls the organs of action, who prevents the sense organs from contacting sense objects in the world, but sits mentally indulging, mentally dwelling on the sense objects, and he uses very strong language for such a person. He says, Vimudhatma, deluded, totally deluded. Mithyachara is a hypocrite. By physically restraining and mentally indulging, you're destroying your personality. It's like, a pressure cooker which doesn't have its vent. There's no release of the pressure that's built up. What will happen is, it will keep building up and then you'll explode. That's what we do in the name of spirituality, in the name of religion. So there are two types of people. One is people who go all out into the world, indulge in the senses. Such people are called materialists, such people are called sensualists, worldly people. And the second, a minority. Those who believe they're being spiritual, those who believe they're being religious, what do? They can't deal with desire. They don't know how to deal with desire. They haven't really understood this technique. All that they are doing is, what they can do is control the organs of action. But since they can't control the mind reaches out. The Gita says, it is where your mind is that matters, not where your action is. You could be doing anything in the world, but if your thoughts are focused on the higher, the highest being the self, then what comes out of you is perfection. We're all in the age of internet connectivity, so you understand that. A person who is a materialist is one who understands only the world. To him, there is only one life to live and enjoy, that's all. Such a person is not, it's like having a person who doesn't have internet connectivity. He's not connected. He's not logged on. So he has no access to the wealth of information and knowledge that's available. In order to develop spiritually, what you must do is not stop action. Change your mind. Log on to the internet, at least sometimes. Once in a while you think, once in the morning, once in the evening, once in a while when you're sitting by yourself, the thought of the higher comes to you. You fix a higher goal, you dedicate your actions. That is part-time connectivity. But the highest state is where, irrespective of what you do, as Shankaracharya says, Yogarato va bhogarato va. You could be in yoga, spiritual sadhana, or you could be in bhoga, you could be indulging in the world. Sangarato va sangavihinaha. You could be in company, you could be in solitude. Yasya brahmani ramate chittam. Whose mind is focused on Brahman. Nandati, nandati, nandati eva. Such a person is one who really enjoys life. So it's like having a wireless modem. Wherever you are, you're connected. Right? So when you go home this evening and people ask you, what did you learn on the Gita? Where did you go? You say, I went to listen to the Karma Yoga. What did you learn there? You said, you tell them, you learnt of wireless modem, wireless connectivity. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, your thought can be on the higher, then you're performing karma yoga. Merely by withdrawing physically from the world, you're not achieving anything. Yet, by indulging in the world, you're only adding fuel to the fire. So what's the way out? Next verse, 7.
यस्त्विन्द्रियाणि मनसा नियम्यारभतेऽर्जुन कर्मेन्द्रियै कर्मयोगम् असक्तः स विशिष्यते.
One who directs the organs of action to karma yoga detachedly, while controlling the senses with the mind, excels. Saha vishishyate. Such a person excels. Who? One who directs the organs of action to karma yoga detachedly, while controlling the senses with the mind. So here he gives a formula by which you continue to act with the senses, but your mind is detached from the world and is established in the higher. So one who directs the organs of action to karma yoga. So karma yoga, what is karma yoga? The question arises, what is karma yoga? Karma yoga can be interpreted in two ways. One is in the absolute, one is in the relative. So in the absolute sense, a karma yogi is one who wants to get to that state of shreyaha, as Arjuna said, wants to get to the state of realization. But he has desires. So what he does is, he identifies the area of his core interest, that field in which he has the most powerful desires, vasanas. Works through his desires, brings the desires to manifestation, acts in the area of his swadharma, means he is fulfilling his desires. But the mind is on realization. What motivates him is the desire to get there. He doesn't want any return from this. So that's what he's saying here. This is karma yoga. He directs the organs of action to karma yoga detachedly. This is a qualification that he gives here. If you act in the area of your most powerful desire with attachment, that doesn't work. Because if you do it with attachment, you create more desires in your system. Detachedly, how is it that a person is able to work in the area of his desires detachedly? You can detach from something only when you are attached to something higher. So here is a person who is attached to the concept of, to the goal of realization. Since he is attached there, he is detached from the low. He controls the senses with the mind. Such a person achieves self-control. In the relative sense, a person may not want to get to realization, but he is still interested in something higher. That higher could be the welfare of society. He is dedicating his actions to the organization, the company that he is working for, or it could be the nation, anything within the world higher than himself, beyond his selfish interests merely. But he goes through the experience, goes through a particular desire because that desire is too strong. It doesn't allow him to go ahead with his goal, pursuit of the goal. So it's like this. When there is, I'm sure you're all familiar with this. When there are road repairs going on, maybe a metro station is being built or what else, whatever it is. And there is a diversion. So the main road is blocked because there's something going on. You can't drive on that. When that is blocked, the only way by which you can reach your destination is to take the diversion. In many cases, the diversion takes you way out. But you still take the diversion. Why? because ultimately it rejoins your path. Now similarly, when you're on the spiritual path, sometimes you come across a roadblock, and that roadblock is a very powerful desire that leads you astray, that takes you away from your path. Since that is the roadblock, that desire comes in the way of your pursuing it, you have no option, you have no choice but to take the diversion, go deviate from your path into that particular desire, into the arena of that particular desire, fulfill that desire, come back right on track. So this is the relative. The absolute is when your mind is on realization and you perform actions in the area of your strongest desires, you exhaust these desires with your mind on the higher, detachedly. That's the clue. That's the key word there. So your existing desires get knocked out, exhausted, and you reach the state of perfection. But in the relative sense, you're on the spiritual path, you're on the path of self-improvement, you have a certain goal in mind and you're moving towards it, but a desire comes and obstructs it. When there is that obstruction, you have no choice but to take a diversion. That diversion sometimes takes you away from your path, but you have to take it, you do take it, because ultimately when you exhaust that desire, you are able to get back on track and move towards spiritual evolution. This brings us to the end of today's discussion. As was mentioned earlier, we have 5 more days till Monday the 8th, every evening 6:30 to 8.